What if I told you there's an 18th century text that pulls back the curtain on a completely different reality, one that's humming along just beneath the surface of our own? We're not just talking about theology here. This is the personal account of a man who claimed to see the universe completely raw, completely unfiltered, and it's all in a book called the Ibriz.
And here's where it gets really wild. The man behind all these incredible insights, Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh, well, he was, as his student puts it, formerly unschooled. The guy couldn't even read. And that, right there, is the central puzzle.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does a man who has never read a book, never had a teacher, somehow know the deepest secrets of existence? How did he see into the hidden machinery of the world? That's exactly the mystery we're going to try to unravel together.
To even begin to wrap our heads around Dabbagh, we have to start with the miracles people said he performed. And we're not talking about simple party tricks. These were events that suggested he was plugged into a source of knowledge that was, well, not of this world. I mean, just look at the sheer range of these abilities. He could supposedly tell if a saying of the prophet was authentic just by seeing a light coming from the words. He'd give his followers stock market level advice on when to sell their crops right before the price tanked. He could predict the gender of unborn children. And then there's the really strange stuff, like tickling someone from a totally different room, or knowing from miles away that his friends were in danger from a lion and somehow protecting them. This isn't just wisdom. It's like he had access to all the universe's hidden data.
Okay, so if this knowledge didn't come from books, where on earth did it come from? Al-Dabbagh's answer was both simple and totally mind-bending. He said he had a direct line to reality itself.
He called this state mushahada, or direct vision. Now, this isn't about learning, it's about seeing. The idea is that for most of us, there's a veil between us and reality. But in this state, God just removes it. You don't just believe that God is behind everything, you actually witness it, second by second. You see God's hand moving every leaf, every atom, every single thing. And you can see how radically different this is from normal learning. Scholarly knowledge? That's external. You get it from books, from teachers. Anyone who's diligent enough can go out and get it. But mushahada is the total opposite. It's an internal gift. It's an unveiling. It's not about studying reality. It's about perceiving it without any filter. And that's how an unlettered man could know things that the most brilliant scholars couldn't even imagine. Al-Dabbagh's vision didn't stop with just personal insights. Oh no. He claimed to see the hidden power structure that is actually running the entire planet. And this is where things get truly staggering. He called it the Diwan. Basically, a secret council made up of the most powerful saints, both living and dead. He said this council manages literally every event on Earth, from a storm in the ocean to the rise and fall of nations, all of it perfectly aligned with God's master plan. It's like a spiritual government operating just behind the scenes of our world. And the detail he provides is just incredible. He says the Diwan meets in the cave of Hira, the exact spot where the Prophet Muhammad first received revelation. There's a leader, called the Support, with 7 pivots as his council. And from there, it expands out in circles, including saints, holy women, angels, and even perfected jinn. And their job? To run the entire show. Everything. Okay, so we've got this secret cosmic government. But what does that mean for you and me, for the average person? Well, according to Al-Dabbagh, this hidden reality has huge consequences for our own souls. It forces us to ask what God really cares about. And here's the core of it. Dabbagh says our actions aren't judged by the action itself, but by the absolute purity of our intention. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you're praying or giving to charity, what matters is why you're doing it. If even a tiny part of your motivation is for yourself, the whole thing is basically worthless in God's eyes. He gives this absolutely jaw-dropping example from his hometown of Fez. In a single day, he saw people donate a fortune, 80 gold coins and 360 sheep to the shrines of dead saints, hoping those saints would help them out. And the amount donated purely for the sake of God? Less than 10 silver coins. For him, this was proof that people were veiled, focusing on other beings instead of the source of everything.
And he tells this incredible story to drive the point home. He once offered a piece of clothing to a man, but the guy refused it. Why? Because he could somehow sense that Al-Dabbagh's intention wasn't 100% pure, that he was hoping the good deed would get a prayer answered. The lesson is just chilling. If a regular person can sniff out and reject an impure motive, imagine how the Creator sees it.
But what if you actually could see past that veil? What happens when it's finally lifted? Well, according to Dabbagh, this ultimate vision isn't some peaceful, blissful awakening. No, it's an overwhelming and potentially lethal force.
Dabbagh is very clear. You do not want to achieve this state, this illumination, before you're spiritually ready for it. Why? Because the reality it reveals is simply too much for a normal human being to handle. It isn't enlightenment in a warm, fuzzy way. It's a head-on collision with the raw, terrifying power of the unseen world.
And his description of it is frankly horrifying. He says you see things that can't be supported, shocking images and frightful sounds so intense that they could literally cause your internal organs to rupture. That's what reality looks like without a buffer. And this danger is so real. He says it can happen to anyone, anywhere. A guy could just be working in a shop, selling things, and boom, God grants him illumination. He sees what he's not supposed to see, and the shock kills him right there on the spot. Everyone else thinks he just had a sudden heart attack, but the real cause, Dabbagh says, was death by illumination. Death by seeing reality.
So ultimately, the Ibriz leaves us with this huge, unsettling question. Dabbagh's world is one where our everyday reality is just a thin curtain, maybe protecting us from a truth that's deeper, more powerful, and maybe even lethal. It really makes you wonder, what are we actually seeing, and what are we being shielded from every single moment of our lives?